Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway.
Oh, command me, Lord. Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
I'll have what she's having.
You have chosen wisely.
It reminds us of all that once was good. And it could be again.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
You're listening to the 30-something Movie Podcast. Classic movies, 30 years in the making. It's the 30-something Movie Podcast. This is episode number 235. All the way to 235. We're doing My Left Foot this time, the Daniel Day-Lewis movie about the life of Christy Brown. And it's going to be a great show this time around. I have Pat with me, but very, very quickly, I'm going to be doing just our usual spiel of our spoiler alert and iTunes stuff and all that. So very, very quickly, spoiler alert. We're talking movies. We're going to spoil movies. If we start to mention a movie, even in like the new movie news segment, we might spoil that movie for you. So we might talk plot points, speculation we've heard if the movie is not out yet. So just be aware. That's kind of the MO of our podcast. Other than that, if you want to leave us an iTunes review, that would be very helpful for us. That's a way to let more people know about the show and let us know how we're doing. So if you have not done that lately, please go ahead and leave an iTunes review for us. And then visit our website. If you want to find out more about the show, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, Instagram, all the different social medias. But the one place to find all of our episodes is on our website. And that's 30podcast.com. If you want to find us on the social medias, we're 30podcast, 30podcast. One of the other things that we tend to use pretty frequently is the app or website Letterboxd, letterboxd.com, or there's the app for iPhone, and I should have one for Android too. I do post quite a bit of stuff on there, and we also have kind of a nice visual listing of all the movies we've done for our 235 episodes up to this point on there. So it's an easy way to kind of go back through and find a movie that you would like to listen to. You can, on our list, I think the list is called the 30-something Movie Podcast so far, and it has the DVD covers or video covers of each of the movies we've done up to this point. You can just click on those, and each one will have a link to that episode, so you can find that show and listen to whichever one you want. So there you go. So I got a couple of new movie news things real quick, and like I said, I'm going to have Pat with me tonight. Jeff and Lovefest, I almost called him Bo. Lovefest was not able to join us tonight. Dennis may be showing up later, not sure. He was out running some errands, so he may be here a little bit later. But I do have Pat with me tonight, so we're going to get going here in just a second to talk a little bit about some new movie news that we've seen, some stuff that came out on the Twitters within the last few days or so, and then we'll get going talking My Left Foot. And I know this is probably one that Pat enjoyed because I know he does like Ireland and Irish type things.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So
yes.
All right. Well, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, John. How are you?
Doing all right. It was the first day back after spring break for us.
It was a full day.
It was a full day, and it was April Fool's. Did anybody April Fool's you?
My mom's favorite holiday, so
Okay.
she tried, but nothing much.
Okay.
Nothing much, and then my kids were getting me, and so that was pretty fun
Okay.
with their efforts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Someone in our building got it pretty good.
Oh, did they really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. What happened?
Well,
Is it a story you can tell?
I suppose so.
Okay.
You can edit if you need to. I'll just leave it like this. There's a couple of teachers that park in a parking lot that they're not supposed to park in.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty consistent.
Yep.
So
I know who they are.
In accordance with our principal, and they had one of our superintendents and everybody involved, one of the teachers, a couple of the teammates to one of the teachers, they took her keys and moved her car around to the other side of the building and then told her that her car was probably towed.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Yeah, and so I think it was pretty good.
Oh, I love that. That's so much better. I remember the one year that I tried a couple of things. I put, I don't know if you remember that, the photocopiers at work.
Yeah.
I put a sign on the photocopiers that said manual controls were broken. You had to use voice commands.
Oh, that's good. Good form.
And I had a couple of people walk up to the copiers, and somebody's, I think I might have been in the room when the person said this, but somebody walked up to it and they just looked at the sign and they go, "Oh, I have to talk to this thing now?"
Oh.
And they decided not to make copies. They didn't even want to bother trying to talk to it, but they completely thought it was real. They're just like, "No, you know what? Forget it. I don't need copies that bad."
That's awesome.
So I like that one. But the movie in the car is a pretty good one.
That is a good one. I won't lie to you.
Anybody
get you there, John?
No, I got home and Nora had created a sold sign that she put on the front of the house.
Okay.
And then there was a cardboard. This apparently was provided by another family that we know, and I guess they used this on their own dad or in the family. They had done this little cardboard cutout that you put on the inside of the toilet seat.
Okay.
And it has this little kind of like this, little maybe golf ball sized hole, and it had an arrow pointing to it, and it said something like expert mode, aim here. And so that wasn't for me. She actually did that for my son. So
okay, good.
And the problem is, thankfully, I got to it first because I hear him yelling. He's like, "Nora!" And I said, "Oh, so you found it?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "You weren't going to try it, were you?" He's like, "Well, now that you mention it," I'm like, "No. Hand it over here."
Yeah.
Well, because number one, if you decide to try it, I'm not cleaning it up.
Right.
No. But that was the extent of our April Fools. Not a whole lot. Nothing too extreme.
Yeah, but good stuff.
Good stuff, though. Good stuff. Very, very quickly, how was your spring break? Because we were just on spring break. Did you go anywhere? Did you? What'd you guys do?
Stayed at home. Tammy does yearbook for her school.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, she was doing yearbook around the clock for most of it. I felt bad for her, but no, it was a good spring break. A lot of time with the kids. Kids played outside a bunch. They dug a hole in our backyard and then dug other holes in our backyard. And
as you should.
And hoses were connected to the side of the house, and water and mud in the house, and it was lots of fun stuff.
There you go.
And had some real nice chances to do a lot of running, play my trumpet, and all the good things in life.
Did you run and play your trumpet at the same time?
No, I'm not.
Have you ever done that? I guess that'd be the next.
Marching band was close.
Okay.
Marching band was close.
But you've never jogged and played the trumpet at the same time?
Never tried to make that happen.
I feel like that's the next level for you.
The next level of awareness.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I fell into the Matrix rabbit hole. Holy buckets. You? Yeah, you know what? Batman 89, now I can't wait to talk about Matrix 99. 10 years from now, John.
10 years from now. So we did a 4-year wait to get to talk about Batman. Now it'll be 10 years.
But you know what? Honestly, that's just over double. I mean, You know what I'm saying? I mean...
It's doable.
Yeah. So...
So did you... I don't know if I shared it with you then. There was an article that I saw the other day, and I might have just tweeted it from our Twitter account for the podcast. But there was an article the other day that was all about how the first Matrix movie, has aged really badly.
Really?
And I'm reading this article going, I'm not sure we watched the same movie because I disagree with pretty much everything you've said.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to read the article because I'm like thinking about it and it's just like...
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
You know what? And I'll tell you, like, the thing that doesn't bother me is the phones. Because, I mean, if they're talking like, well, we're all on cell phones or smartphones now. If it's like that kind of stuff.
No, it had nothing to do with the phones.
I
think a good portion of it had to do with, it'll go back to our Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom discussion.
Okay.
It has to do with the savior being a white man and his assistants being a black man and a white woman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm not...
That seemed like it was a big portion of the article.
Yeah, that seems a little bit of a stretch, especially because
that's what I thought.
Especially because they originally tried to get Will Smith for the part.
Right.
So yeah,
I'll send you the article. Some of it might frustrate you a little bit, but it was an interesting read. I didn't agree with most of it, but it was interesting.
And I guess Yeah, I mean, I guess it's always food for thought. And again, I mean, you live by the sword, die by the sword. I really, I think you got to consider everyone's perspective. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, we for our spring break, we had the beginning of our spring break was our usual Nerd Fest, our C2E2 comic book show.
Yeah. How was that?
And that was really good. Actually, Nora and I just did a podcast the other day for Captain Marvel.
Right. Okay.
So if you haven't seen Captain Marvel, don't listen to it yet, because we give away a bunch of stuff. But we talked a little bit about that on the episode that she did with me. So she went with me. I always go the whole weekend, but she went with me. Just myself and Nora went on Saturday. Actually, my sibling and fiance went, and their fiance went Saturday too, and then the whole family came on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So my sibling, their fiance, my son, my wife, my mother-in-law, so it was like the entire family, and we were all decked out. Nora and I were Jedi. She was my apprentice, and I was the master. That was Saturday, and then on Sunday, I was tired at that point. I decided I just wanted a very simple costume to wear, so I went all black and did Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker.
All right.
Nice and easy. Nora was Chewbacca, and she had bought a little porg, a little like plush porg, and she safety pinned it to her shoulder. Fun. And Sharon was Han Solo.
Okay.
And as usual, her mom was a Starfleet officer.
Good. Okay.
So we have the rest of the family does Star Wars, and she always does Star Trek, and we always get comments about that every time.
Okay.
And then John didn't really want to do costumes much. His Stormtrooper costume was a little bit too small. He just decided, I'm going to put on a Superman shirt, and I'll be Superboy.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. You do whatever you want. So it was good. We had a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But that, and then we moved a whole bunch of rooms around in our house. So I'm recording right now from our new library in our house.
That's
so
exciting.
I'm surrounded by books, and I absolutely love it. So Nora has a new room. She's got her own room now that has a bathroom and more closet space, and the piano is in her room, so she can play anytime she wants. And
awesome.
So all kinds of good stuff, and we're gonna be updating John's room and just doing some other stuff around the house as we can and as time permits. But we decided, instead of taking it easy, that we were going to work over spring break, and I think our muscles and bodies feel it, because we tried to wake up this morning and everybody was sore, like they had pulled something, or John had a splint on his thumb because he hurt it carrying a box of books, and so it was like we had played a full contact sport over the spring break week.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. That's
so,
not that everyone's beat up, but that's good that we got stuff done. Exactly.
We got stuff done. So
cool.
All right, well, why don't we jump on into I got two things real quick for some movie news stuff. And some of these are verging on the horror side of things, so I don't know how interested you're going to be, but we'll go into them anyway. I think you will be interested because of the people who are involved in them.
Okay.
So, real quick, Mark Hamill tweeted out the other day that, and I believe the movie's coming out in like 3 months, so not very long. Mark Hamill has been picked to be the voice of Chucky in the Child's Play remake.
Oh,
So Chucky will be voiced by Luke Skywalker.
All right, that'd be cool.
And the Joker. So I'll be curious to see what that voice, how they decide to go with the voice for Chucky in the new movie.
Hello, WonderCon. It's Mark Hamill here. And if you're wondering who's going to voice Chucky in the new Child's Play, you're looking at him. I can't wait to bring such an iconic character to life and present him in a way you've never seen him before. Child's Play this summer. We're going to have some fun. And remember, he's more than just a toy. He's your best friend.
Got it. Okay.
That's all I got for that one. Just that they made that announcement. The one that came out today, and I'm really hoping that, I think I texted you guys this earlier, I'm really hoping that this is not an April Fool's thing, because I watched the trailer and I really want this to be a real movie now. Mm-hmm. There's a zombie comedy starring Bill Murray and Adam Driver. Adam Driver is Kylo Ren from the new Star Wars movies. And they play two cops in this small town where a zombie outbreak takes place. Okay. And the movie is called The Dead Don't Die.
Okay.
And the trailer looks hilarious. and it's kind of like you see Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, and it's kind of the very deadpan humor that he did when he was on Saturday Night Live. Did you see that one when he was on SNL and he did like a Fortnite, a dad playing Fortnite skit, and he did Matt the radar technician on Starkiller Base?
I haven't, but I should check it out.
Okay, I'll have to send you those.
Okay, this is Kylo Ren did this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the two of them are partners. They're cops, and this zombie outbreak takes place, and it seems like everybody else in the movie is just not quite sure what to do with the zombies. Like nobody's shocked. Nobody really reacts the way that you would expect people to react. Like zombies come at them and they're like, "Oh, what's wrong with these people?" And everybody's kind of dumber than you would expect in real life.
Okay.
But it looks like it'll be hilarious.
In this peaceful town, on these quiet streets, something terrifying, something horrifying is coming.
Excuse me, we're closed. Get away from me!
What the hell was it? A wild animal?
This is really awful. Maybe the worst thing I've ever seen.
What was it, wild animals?
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking zombies.
What?
You know, the undead. Ghouls.
You look gorgeous. Oh my. Are you in this together?
Flesh-eating zombies.
Don't joke, it's really, really creepy.
Oh, man. This isn't gonna end well.
When I was a boy, I thought
They gravitate towards things they did when they were alive.
Coffee.
Chardonnay.
Did she just say Chardonnay?
Yeah, she did.
1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to my world, zombies.
I've been telling you this is all gonna end badly.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I'm quite confident of my ability to defend myself against the undead.
I can see that.
Excuse me.
Those are some pretty good cuts. You played some minor league ball, didn't you?
Well, a little Class A. It was a long time ago.
So I really hope this is a real movie and not just a very elaborate April Fool's prank.
Well, yeah, because it sounds like a good movie.
There's at one point, and I got to go back and look at the trailer, there's at one point where they shoot a zombie or they chop off a zombie's head, and I feel like the zombie is wearing the same sweater that Bill Murray is wearing in Zombieland.
Okay. That's
so
awesome.
I got to go back and look and see, because I wasn't sure. But at first glance, I was like, that looks like the outfit that Bill Murray was wearing when he was pretending to be a zombie in Zombieland.
Yes.
So
that would be very cool.
That's all I got. I don't know. Did anything else come up that you saw new movie news wise, or?
I do. However, we have a visitor to the podcast right here. Dominic has just walked down. Dominic, say hi,
Dominic.
Mr. Reed.
Hi.
Hi, Dominic. How are you?
Mr. Reed, you just say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
He can't hear because it's coming through my headphones.
Oh, because you got headphones.
Mr. Reed says hello. All right. So the only thing that I have is the Mötley Crüe biopic that came out.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. I kind of didn't even realize it was coming out till like a day before.
Have you watched it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Twice.
Okay.
And,
okay. I've heard it's good. I've heard it's not friendly to anyone younger than us.
No, it is. It
like
is,
not for children.
It is most assuredly not for children.
Okay. It's called The Dirt?
The Dirt, which is the autobiography, or the book that they came out with. I don't think it's an autobiography. What's their memoir, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
So Mötley Crüe was my band growing up.
Okay.
And when I say my band, I mean they were my favorite band.
Yeah.
And and I'm thinking back, like even now, I'm like, all the other bands that I listen to, and Mötley Crüe, I love their tunes. Now, if you listen to much Mötley Crüe, it's definitely the wild side of life. And they've got some tunes, like there's a number of them I'll play for my kids, and they're completely clean. And,
yeah.
Home Sweet Home, for example, on the Stranger Things 3 trailer opens up with that. Okay, but obviously the band was very notorious for its very lurid partying and over-the-top kind of stuff. And this movie very much shows it. Now, you can't take, it focuses on the first part of their career. So, I mean, like the first 10 years. You can't take like 10, 20 years and condense it into an hour and a half without dropping some things. So there's some, they changed some things around and all that. But I think, and I've seen some interviews with some of the guys, and they just said, yeah, we really wanted to show, and we wanted it to not be like tame. And so that's why they were like, we're really excited that Netflix picked it up and they let us do what we wanted with it. And, because like Paramount, and it was funny because Nikki Sixx was talking and he's like, Paramount, great, nothing against them, but they wanted to kind of sanitize it a bit. And that wasn't what we wanted to do. And they really wanted to show it kind of like raw, like this is what was going on.
Yeah.
But not from a glorified or a ha-ha kind of thing, but from a, this wasn't, and if I'm paraphrasing, but if I get the gist of it, in the interview, Nikki Sixx was saying like, yeah, we're just trying to show that was a different time, and it wasn't necessarily the right way to go about things. So it's, it's an interesting movie. And like I said, it shows, it highlights a bunch of the music, and that's pretty exciting because it was my favorite band growing up.
Oh, yeah.
But there's some cool stuff in there.
Awesome. But I'll have to check that out. I saw it might have been somebody, one of the other podcasts I used to listen to. He does several different podcasts. Steve Glosson is his name. He's from Georgia, and he does several different podcasts. One of the ones that he used to do, I don't know if he still does, because I don't know if I've picked that one up in my podcast feed since I got the new phone a little while back, was called, his show is usually called Geek Out Loud. Mm-hmm. And he started one with somebody else that he had met through the interwebs, and they do one called Rock Out Loud.
Okay.
And I feel like it was maybe one of the other listeners on the Facebook page had mentioned The Dirt, and they're like, you guys, if you love Mötley Crüe, if you love rock and roll bands, if you love Spinal Tap, if you like all this other stuff, they're like, you got to go see The Dirt. Don't watch it with your kids, but you got to go see The Dirt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet, but I had heard about it, and I'd heard several people kind of recommend it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, but again, definitely not. It's
not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not.
It could have happened to anybody, but it didn't. It happened to us. The new band is gonna be something nobody's ever seen before.
Oh my God, those are my pants.
But they look so much better on me.
We got a runaway, a kid drummer, an old man. Let's just play it. A cover band singer.
They say you're gonna be a rock star.
What do you think?
Holy sh**.
If we want to knock people on their ass, then we've got to give them a show. I'm talking like a stadium show in the clubs. The fans, they're dying for some anarchy. So let's give it to them.
I work for Elektra Records. You guys like a record deal?
I had managed the Scorpions, Bon Jovi, Skid Row, Kiss, but I had never been through what Mötley Crüe put me through.
I am sick and tired of not having any fun. Everything's upside down and flip-flopping.
Mötley Crüe, no strangers to controversy.
Vince Neil was charged with vehicular manslaughter.
Tommy Lee and Heather Locklear have separated.
It's a degenerative bone disease.
Nikki Sixx has overdosed.
I know it's not gonna be easy, but I believe in you guys.
Win it all or lose it all. We are Mötley Crüe.
Mötley Crüe, here all week. Okay, boys, let's rock the house.
This week in 89, so we're looking at kind of like the week of April 2nd to about April 9th of 1989. The only thing that I've got this time, wasn't a whole lot necessarily major going on during the next couple of weeks in 89, but the one that I vividly remember watching was on April 2nd, 1989. It was WrestleMania 5, and Hulk Hogan beats Macho Man Randy Savage in WrestleMania 5 for the championship. So I used to watch those religiously, and then used to go to the video store, and you could always check out the different WrestleMania years. They always had them on VHS. And I remember I'd go and I'd check out like WrestleMania 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And I remember watching those over and over and over again. So that was one that I remember vividly.
Right.
All right, top book this time again, and this is going to be this one for probably the next month and a half. The Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie. The top movie was Rain Man. Actually, Rain Man had come out in December of 88 and had been popular. It was top of the charts in January of 89, and then as other movies came out, it kind of went away, but then Rain Man actually came back. I want to say it was like its 16th or 19th or something like that week of release, and it moved back up to the top spot again. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool. Now, you don't see a movie that had been out for multiple months at this point come back and take the number one spot after that much time, but it was Rain Man this time around, so... Cool. Top song was Eternal Flame by the Bangles.
All right.
That's all I got for this week in 89. So let's jump on into My Left Foot. So the movie this time is My Left Foot, came out 24th of February, 1989. I believe that was the initial Irish release. Wide release in the U.S. It didn't actually come out until 1990, but its original premiere in Ireland and... its original premiere in the U.S., a limited release premiere, came out in 89, so that's why we're considering it an 89 movie.
There we go.
Rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 43 minutes, directed by Jim Sheridan, who also did In the Name of the Father and In America, so all the movies that start with In. Producer was Noel Pearson, who did The Secret Scripture. Writers on this one were the director Jim Sheridan, who did the screenplay, Shane Connaughton, who also did the screenplay, and then the novel that this is based off of, obviously written by the artist and novelist Christy Brown, who died in 1981. Sheridan also wrote In the Name of the Father and In America. Connaughton also wrote The Run of the Country. Cinematography done by Jack Conroy, who did After Midnight and The Gaelic Curse. Music by Elmer Bernstein, who died in 2004, also did To Kill a Mockingbird, The Magnificent Seven, and Ghostbusters. The budget, I had to do a little bit of calculating here because the way I found it online said £600,000. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take a rough guess based on some estimates on what the exchange rate was at the time and say the budget was $1 million.
Okay.
Of 1988, 1989 dollars, and the box office was $14.7 million. Mm-hmm. Reviews for this one: Rotten Tomato critics give it a 97%, Rotten Tomatoes audience gives it a 92%, IMDb gives it a 79%, Letterboxd gives it a 76%, and CinemaScore did not give this one a score. Starring Daniel Day-Lewis as Christy Brown. He was in The Last of the Mohicans, In the Name of the Father, and There Will Be Blood. Brenda Fricker was Mrs. Brown, his mother. She was in A Time to Kill and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Kirsten Sheridan was Sharon. She was in The Boxer and In America. She was the writer of In America. Declan Croghan. I'm hoping I'm saying these names correctly, but I do know, as someone who loves many Irish and Scottish and often Welsh things too, I'm not going to trust my pronunciation of the names. So if I get them wrong, I do apologize.
Okay.
But it looks like Declan Croghan. Could be totally wrong. He played Tom. He was the writer for Waking the Dead. Cyril Cusack died in 1993. He was Lord Castlewelland. He was in Fahrenheit 451, 1984, and The Day of the Jackal. Ruth McCabe played Mary. She was in Philomena and Breakfast on Pluto. Fiona Shaw played Dr. Eileen Cole. She was in the Harry Potter movies and is currently in the TV series Killing Eve. Ray McAnally he died in 1989, not too long after this movie came out. He was Christy's father, Mr. Brown. He was in The Mission and A Perfect Spy. Hugh O'Connor played young Christy Brown. He was in the 93 version of The Three Musketeers and Chocolat. And Adrian Dunbar played Peter. He was in The Crying Game and Hear My Song. So this movie, I had never seen this movie before. So this was my first time watching it. Had you seen this one before?
No, I had not.
Okay. And actually after we watched it, Sharon and I watched it together, and after we watched it, she said, I had never even heard of this movie. Now, I had heard of this movie. Like, I feel like I had heard of this movie regularly throughout the years, and it was one that I remember seeing, and maybe just as a kid, seeing it in the video store and thinking, well, that's a funny title for a movie. Like, My Left Foot. That sounds weird. And I knew nothing about the movie. I had no idea that it was based on a real person and a true story. Had no idea what it was about. I just, as a kid growing up, I remember seeing this videotape in the store. My parents, maybe they owned a copy of it. I'm sure they probably watched it at some point. But I just remember, yeah, that's a kind of a funny title for a movie. And so this is the first time I looked up a little bit about the movie before watching it. Otherwise, I knew nothing about it. I had not seen it before. Just knew that it was Daniel Day-Lewis, and that was how I came into this movie. So my kind of initial reaction to it, I forgot to do our one sentence spoiler free review of it as we got going, but I'll do my one sentence spoiler free thing, seconds before we start spoiling the movie, and that is to say, I really liked it. Like, really liked this movie. Thought it was really well done. Obviously it's not there's not a lot of action in the movie. It's very much a drama, and it's very much, I think Daniel Day-Lewis, he's very careful about the parts that he picks for himself, and I think it shows. And I think every movie I've ever seen him in is a movie of quality.
Yeah.
So that's my spoiler-free review before we jump on into the movie. But so this was the first time you saw it as well?
First time, and I'm thinking, I just actually fired off a text to my mom. I want to say growing up, my mom being Irish, sees all the Irish movies out there. I remember her saying something to me as a child, her talking about seeing this movie, about a wonderful story and basically I thought she had told me about this movie. So when I started watching it, I'm like, sort of like Old Biff and Back to the Future Part 2. There's something really familiar about all of this. And so this was the first time I'd seen it. A one sentence spoiler free review. Great movie about an inspiring person. if that works. I'm like trying not to give spoilers, but yeah.
That's sufficiently vague for now.
Yeah, it's a great movie about a very, very inspiring person.
All right. Okay, so that's spoiler free. So now if you don't want to be spoiled, you probably want to stop here and you can come back and listen later. Go watch the movie and come back and listen to it later. But from here on out, we're going to talk about the movie. So you've been forewarned. So full on Pat Canigallo review here. What did you think of this movie?
Fantastic. I mean, and here's the best thing I can say is I mean, I watched it within the last day or so, and I don't want to say, I had to watch the movie for the podcast, but it was kind of like one of those, the Sunday blahs before the final start back up with school. Had already watched UHF, said earlier, had been watching all three Matrix movies, like on constant loop throughout the last week. And so then this came up, and obviously this isn't like a super huge action comedy type movie. And so I started watching it, and it was like sucked in immediately. I mean, and it was like I kind of put it on when I was, doing something else, like doing the dishes or whatever, just kind of watching it, and I'm like, no, this movie is pretty amazing, and just kind of had to put everything else away and just focus on it. It really took me. I'm not a big expert on it because I'd only seen it the once, but it was interesting that the portrayal of someone with cerebral palsy in, what was it supposed to be set in, the 19...
Well, he was born in the 1930s.
Okay.
When he died in 81, I believe he was, I want to say he was maybe right around age 50.
Okay.
So he was supposed to have been born, maybe he was like 49. I think he was born in like 1932.
Okay. So seeing that a person with a special need in a time period before ours. So, I think we've, as a society, I think we've progressed in terms of, working with people with all sorts of different needs and so forth. That wasn't the case back then, one. Two, it was portrayal of a working class traditional family, and seeing how they coped and dealt with it and came together. And so you see all these different slices of life, that are a little bit different than, kind of what the reality that I know and that we know today. And it was, so I don't know how to say it. It's not that it made the movie more real, but it made the movie more compelling. I guess that would be how I describe it. And just to, see how he adapted and was able to, his family and they were able to really come together, I guess, throughout. Because I'm trying to think, in the movie, he really started communicating with them. It wasn't like a situation where, like the King's Speech. I know, a completely different thing, but like the King's Speech, he had a doctor working with him. In this, the doctor came into it, but later, as a kid, he was able to break through and make the connection with his dad, and make the connection with his mom, and make the connection with his brothers and sisters, and really be a very vibrant part of the family.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm kind of rambling all over the place, but I'm trying to put the thoughts in my head as we go. And
yeah,
we always grew up, and I don't think this is a specifically Irish phrase, but we always grew up, talking about blood is thicker than water. And it's kind of like you see that on display with his brothers and sisters. Man, they were there for him, and he was there for them. Right. No, he was playing in the game. Yeah, he's playing soccer. He's the goalie. Right. He was actually a darn good one too.
Yeah.
It was, they're playing spin the bottle. Well, he's not playing. Well, yeah, he is playing.
Sure he is.
He's right there. And then when his sister came home and the dad reacted.
Right. I'm going to kill him.
Yeah. Well, and and he was right there for his sister.
Right.
Like
of anybody in the family, he would have had the most difficult time killing his father.
Right.
But he was the one that was, ready to go if need be.
Exactly. So it really, yeah. I'm going to stop talking because now I'm just kind of rambling on and on and on. But
yeah, one of the things about this movie is that when it first started up, and again, I knew nothing about it going into it, other than I just very briefly looked up a little bit about the real life Christy Brown, and kind of that knew that this was the book that he had initially written, and that's what it was based off of. But I spent this entire movie just I think tense from head to toe, and not like it was a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm not sure how I want to describe the tension that I felt watching this movie, but it was a tension that I wanted him to succeed at everything he was doing. Like when you would see him try to move his body, and we'll talk about the actors and their performances in just a minute, but between, the kid who played the part and then Daniel Day-Lewis playing the same part, there are times, and I'll repeat this in just a second when we talk about the actors, there are times when I really enjoy an actor's performance when I completely forget that's the actor.
Mm-hmm.
When I see that's that character. Like, I don't look at that character and think, oh yeah, he's also Lincoln.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. Like, he is, and there are other movies where I'm like, oh yeah, it's the same guy. Oh yeah, Indiana Jones is also Han Solo, and I'll look at actors and be like, oh yeah, well, they're in all these movies. A lot of times it's not necessarily a knock on Nicolas Cage, but a lot of his characters are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas somebody like a Daniel Day-Lewis, I look at that and I go, I have completely forgotten that this is an actor acting out a role.
Yeah.
And so I was tense the entire time watching this movie, and probably to your point too, I couldn't do anything else while I was watching this movie. Sometimes
Right.
I'll do something else while we're watching a movie, or I'll be watching the movie and maybe taking some notes for the podcast, or filling out some of the notes that we're going to use for the show or something like that. This one, I couldn't do that. This one, occasionally I would look something up on my phone because an actor looked familiar and I wanted to see what else they were in. But other than that, I had to watch, because scenes where he's trying to get himself down the stairs, or scenes where he's trying to, write out that fraction for the first time and prove to everybody that, yes, you can have a quarter of a quarter. And I'm not even a math teacher, and I was pretty happy I figured that out. And just that was the thing I really enjoyed about this movie. I think it was an inspiring movie and story without pitying him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's one of the parts that was done well, was that he really didn't. I mean, there were times he was made fun of, but I don't feel like there were a whole lot of instances where it was just, oh, let's feel really sad for him or bad for him because he physically can't do what other people can do. I don't feel like that was something that was harped on in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it was well done to just say, no, he's just another person. He just has, he's differently abled than the other people in the movie, but this is not someone that needs your pity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that makes me want to jump directly to my whole talk of Daniel Day-Lewis and the boy, was it Hugh O'Connor, I think was the boy's name, who played young Christy and Christy Brown. Just phenomenal. Like, because I kept looking at the kid and I kept thinking, I feel like I know this kid from somewhere. And I have watched that 1993 Three Musketeers movie, the one with Kiefer Sutherland and Charlie Sheen and Chris O'Donnell. I've watched that one over and over and over again. Love that movie. He plays the French king, the young French king in that movie. And that's when I realized, oh, that's where I've seen him before. But completely did not make that connection. And usually I'm pretty good at picking that stuff up. Did not make that connection because I could have been completely convinced that this was not an actor playing a part, that boy actually had cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
That it was that well done that I forgot it was an actor.
Yeah, it was...
for both of them, for both the boy and for Daniel Day-Lewis.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It was... yeah, that was pretty amazing.
And that's something I know about Daniel Day-Lewis. I know from what I've heard, he chooses his projects carefully. Like, he doesn't do, some actors, they'll do some for a paycheck and then they'll do the movies they really want to do. And from what I've heard about him is, no, he only picks the things he really wants to do. And when he does, he is all in. And I was reading something, there's a making of this movie segment on the special edition DVD, and they said that he broke 2 of his ribs from being in the kind of that hunched over position in the wheelchair for weeks at a time during the filming, because he would also refuse to come out of character.
Okay.
Like when he was on set, when he was there on location for the filming of everything, he would not break character. Like, he stayed in character the entire time. He would have other people would have to help him eat his food when it was lunchtime.
Okay.
When they weren't filming, because he would he was Christy the entire time. And there was one thing on IMDb that said his agent came to see how filming was going one day, and Daniel Day-Lewis refused to break character, and the agent was just like, you know what, forget it, I'm leaving. And he just left because he was like, would you just talk to me in your normal voice? And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't get out of the wheelchair. He wouldn't use his normal voice, stayed in character, and the agent just got frustrated and walked off.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff I've heard about him, is that when he gets into a character, he becomes that character, and while the movie is filming, he will be that character whenever you see him.
Yeah, I've heard that about him as well. Method acting, they call it, right?
Yep.
And it's, I mean, as you can see by my work on such diverse films as the band director,
of course,
I am not an actor by any sort of stretch of the imagination. So that's not something I can totally...
I thought you did method acting for that one.
Yeah, it's my
you stayed in part. Even when we weren't filming, you were the band director.
John, my entire life is like one big method acting trip.
My whole life is a dark room. One big dark room.
Okay, so I'll tell you though, I've read about that, and it's pretty amazing when those guys fall into that. But when they do that, I'll tell you the one that I'd be the most scared of is when they said Gangs of New York, the Scorsese. You remember that film? Man, I'll tell you, I would not want to be anywhere near Bill the Butcher at any point. I don't care. Like, I mean, that was, yeah. He's pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So. Another thing I saw that was kind of funny was that they had to use a mirror for filming.
Okay.
Because Daniel Day-Lewis could only control his right foot to get it to do the things that needed to be done in the movie.
Oh, okay.
And so they had to film it with a mirror so it looked like his left foot.
Oh.
So they had a couple of tricks to
Got it.
help make all that possible. But
yeah, well, that whole aspect of it really, really made it very realistic.
Well, and loved how, as you said earlier, that there's so many scenes where he's there with everybody else. Like he's with the family. He's trying to do everything that the family's doing. When everybody's doing their homework, he's trying to write the math problems with the chalk. When they're playing soccer or football, he's out there playing with everybody else. When they're playing spin the bottle, he's there doing it with them. When they find out that they don't have money and they need more coal for the fire so that they don't freeze to death, he's out there. He's the one that came up with the plan to get the coal out of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And just comes and when he comes home just filthy, covered in coal. Just there were several parts of this that they were just hilarious. And it's not a comedy movie, but it was just the way he played it off made it really funny.
Yeah. Well, it was just like life naturally has comedy to it. I mean, there's times when families are going to laugh together and cry together and I mean, there's times of, like you mentioned, getting up for school this morning after rearranging your house, the whole family like, oh my God, I mean, there's an inherent comedy to all that.
Right.
And that's
and because Nora was totally fine because she didn't move a thing. She probably colored while we were moving things. So
so there you
she's
go.
fine. Everybody else is the walking wounded.
Well, and see, that's
funny.
That's funny, and that's the kind of humor exactly that you see in this. I didn't quite get that scene, like when the mom was like, "You're all go," or what? No, he stole the stuff, and then they had him talk to the priest.
No, that was when he's talking to the priest. Was when they found
the magazine.
When they found the magazine with the naked ladies.
That's right.
Yeah,
and that's when he's talking. You can get out of purgatory, but you can't get out of hell. Just so you know. No, but why was he crying? Did his mom guilt him? Is that why he felt so bad after stealing the coal?
I thought he was laughing.
Okay.
I don't think he was crying. I thought he was laughing.
Okay, because then they lit the fire, but that's where she stashed the money.
Right.
And that's why she was digging in there because the dad didn't know the money was
panicking.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. No, it's just a really good movie.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. In terms of like the movie itself, there are a bunch of other scenes. Oh, the one that I thought was the best. I guess we can, if we have a favorite scene, we can kind of share that. there was the scene. I'll say this was a favorite scene, even though it's not like a favorite scene for happy or joyful reasons. I think my favorite scene might have been, well, I've got two. I've got one that's a little bit longer and one that's very short. One of my favorite scenes is the dinner scene where he finds out that his doctor is engaged, even after he tells her that he loves her.
Mm-hmm.
And like that entire scene, that was another scene where everything was very uncomfortable and very tension-filled, because this is really one of the first times that you've seen him kind of by himself in a social setting where other people, especially in that time period, would not have understood why he's there. For lack of a better term, why he is there in polite society.
Right.
And so that scene I just thought was very well acted by everybody. And the way the camera kind of turned around and almost from his perspective watched the rest of the people in the restaurant. It kind of almost like a 360 of going around and seeing everyone in the restaurant and looking around and kind of how they were reacting to him getting drunk and yelling and doing all that. And just thought that was a really, really well done scene.
Yeah.
Like the acting in it. Not that it's my favorite scene because, oh, that was awesome and it was funny and it was not that, but just the acting of it and just the way the scene was shot and that you, and on purpose, I think you as a viewer felt uncomfortable and you were supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that part was really well done. The short scene that I really liked was when he is kind of locked up in his room, and he was, I'm trying to remember exactly which part it was, but he didn't want to. I think he didn't want to go back to therapy anymore, and the doctor had shown up at his house and said, "Well, we can work here," and he tells her to F off, and through the doorway she goes, "Well, with a little speech therapy, I can teach you to say F off a whole lot clearer."
That was I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Good scenes. Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, what you said the first scene. I mean, there was a tension underneath this movie. It was like, all right, let's get through this situation. Let's get through this, and all that. As far as favorites, I don't know that I have like a that was awesome scene, but just very powerful scenes. I mean, and I guess, when you base something on real life, you're going to naturally have this, but they didn't, the father, I think, was a very real person. I think that's how that kind of a person would react to things, The real strength of the family was the mother. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She's carrying him up the stairs when she was pregnant. My gosh. Yeah. I think that was favorite scenes. I don't know if that's, again, the right word, but just, the portrayal of the mother and just how strong she was. And then the interesting thing that I saw, they brought a little bit out that when the doctor started to get through to him, she didn't like that. Because then the father was like,
right.
Well, we finally can understand him. Well, I always did understand him,
Right.
He asks each traveler 5 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
You've got to ask yourself one question.
What are you asking me for? I don't know.
What you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right, so 5 questions. Really, really quickly, if you have not listened to the show before, our 5 questions are sometimes based, sometimes very loosely based on the movies we're talking about, and so we'll just we'll jump on in, and you'll get the hang of things. 5 questions. I think most of these will go pretty quickly, but what is your number one? What is your favorite Daniel Day-Lewis role?
Lincoln.
Okay, this one will go quickly because Lincoln was also mine.
All right.
I have seen scenes. Now I know that one's coming up maybe in a couple of years for us. In the Name of the Father. is another one of his movies, and I've seen scenes from it, and it looks really good, but I've never seen the movie, so I didn't feel like I could say that one.
Okay.
But I do really like his Lincoln. I mean, I've seen Gangs of New York and There Will Be Blood, but I really like his portrayal of Lincoln in that movie. Last of the Mohicans. He's really good in Last of the Mohicans, too.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that was a quick one. What is your favorite Irish movie, either made in Ireland or has an Irish-centric story? I know some of these are going to be tough for you because you very much enjoy Irish things.
I was just going to say, like, okay, I've got my list of kids' movies and adult movies and all that. I would say Three Boys and a Girl from County Clare, or The Boys and Girl from County Clare.
Okay. I have not seen that one.
Yeah, that one's really good. Features a lot of Irish music, a lot of really good humor about trying to win a Cayley competition.
Okay.
And it's just the characters that they bring in are outstanding and just
that's
very.
got Cole Meany is in it, and
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and they play these brothers, and there are these three brothers that played music growing up, and then they all move to different parts and start their own Cayley bands and come back together for a competition. It's just, I mean, it is outstanding.
Nice.
But Waking Ned Devine.
That's
is
a good
great. One. Oh, Waking Ned Devine is classic. If you want action, Patriot Games.
Mm-hmm.
Which was also a fantastic book. Well, obviously it was a fantastic book.
Haven't read the book.
I mean, that was great. What was that?
I haven't read the book, but yeah.
Oh, that one's great. Everything. So those are all great. I guess Boys and a Girl from County Clare. Is it The Boys and Girl or Three Boys and a Girl? I don't know, but it's that one. Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
It's called The Boys and Girl from County Clare.
The Boys and Girl from County Clare.
Well, it depends. Sometimes, some places they call it just The Boys from County Clare, and some places call it The Boys and Girl from County Clare.
Okay.
So, all right. My answer for this one, a couple of the ones that you mentioned, I would also jump on that as well. But I am going to go with one that I watched a couple years ago. I think it was on Netflix. That might have been how I found it. But it's called Sing Street.
Okay.
And it's another music one. It's the kid, I'll just read the description I've got off the IMDb page. A boy growing up in Dublin during the 1980s escapes his strained family life by starting a band to impress the mysterious girl he likes.
Cool.
And it's really well done. Like it's really, it's got the 80s vibe to it, which obviously we like because that's why we started this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But he has the director is John Carney, and he has done Sing Street, a movie called Once, and a movie called Begin Again. And I'm pretty certain all of those are very music-based movies. And but yeah, Sing Street was just a lot of fun. It's almost a little bit of like they're trying to put together this band, and they're also not just trying to put together the band, but they're trying to put together music videos for their band.
Okay.
So it's like a bunch of like junior high or high school kids trying to make themselves an 80s MTV rock and roll band.
Okay.
And they don't actually do that bad of a job. Like the videos are not bad, and they actually get to be, they get a little bit of popularity, but it's just a really well done movie, and there's that family piece to it too, just like in this movie. There's some family struggles going on, but everybody feels real. Like it's another movie where you're not looking at a group of actors acting out parts. You feel like you're just watching a family and a group of friends doing their thing.
Got it.
So that one's really good. So if you haven't checked that one out, I'd recommend that.
And that's called what now?
It's called Sing Street.
Sing Street, okay.
Yeah, it came out in 2016. It used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it is now, but that's where I originally found it.
Right. If we're talking movies about like The Commitments. Did you ever see The Commitments?
No.
Oh my goodness! It's about guys that come up. They make a soul band. They all live in Ireland.
Okay.
But yeah, The Commitments is fantastic.
Okay. I'll add that to my list.
So, Yeah, and then I mean, I'll tell you, I saw it not recently, but recently, the movie Michael Collins.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that one's really, really good with Qui-Gon Jinn in it.
Yep.
That one's great. I'm just just a lot of great movies.
Yeah, In America, saw that one a while ago. That's another good one, done by the same director as this one. I feel like I saw the movie once by that John Carney. I think I've seen that one before too. I feel like I borrowed In Bruges from somebody at one point, but I haven't watched that yet. So I got to watch that too. There's a whole bunch of good ones that I haven't seen, but
Far and Away.
Far and Away. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Oh, that one is wonderful.
Into the West, I think, was another one I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one too. Yeah. All right. So number 3, name a person who you have found to be inspirational in some way. So maybe they overcame a disability, maybe they did something that impacted their community or the world or whatever. So this can be a person living or dead, and a person that in some way inspires you.
Man, a person that inspires me. Well, John, other than yourself.
Well, I mean,
for putting this podcast together.
I was going to say Love Fest, but he's not here. So
yeah, I think we should just sit. I think we just make it him, it both.
Yeah,
I think that'd be great.
That'd be fun.
He
makes me want to be a better man.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know what? I mean, it's like every day you can find people that inspire you. To lock it in on one person, I think is going to be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, maybe this was the question I should have researched more.
Well, I came up with 2 answers.
Okay, let's see. But do your answers.
And my answers, I went with the celebrity inspirational people. Okay. So the first one, and not that I know a whole lot about this person's history, just the fact that they accomplished everything they accomplished given the disability that they had. And I know that, for those who tend toward darker humor, it's kind of become the butt of a whole bunch of jokes, it seems like in recent years. Helen Keller. Just the whole idea that someone can live the majority of their life unable to hear and unable to see, mm-hmm. and still communicate and still do all of the things that she did. Because I've tried at different times to just imagine that. I'm like, what if I couldn't hear and I couldn't see? Like, how would I get around? How would I be able to communicate? And I can't even fathom how I would do that. So to me, that's inspirational to me, because I don't even know how I would get around doing that. I guess if that's how it is from a young age, you just adapt and you just do it. Mm-hmm. But it's still, there's a lot to overcome there. But the other one that I did write down first was actually Christopher Reeve. Because I just, watching him as he, that's something where he was a very athletic, very fit, very vibrant actor. And then to have that accident and be confined to the wheelchair, you'd think that a lot of people would just give up. They would just be like, well, no, I'm done. I'm just going to withdraw from public life, and I'm just going to live out the rest of my life, and just, people need to just leave me alone. But clearly he didn't do that. He continued to act, and he continued to raise awareness for, disabilities and all kinds of other stuff. So it didn't hurt that he was also Superman.
Right.
And that he was my Superman growing up. But that one too, was one that I thought of for this question.
Cool.
All right. Did you think of one, or we'll go on to the next one?
I go on to the next one, because honestly, I mean, it's like I think those are great. Yeah.
Would take you a while.
Yeah.
Okay. This one may or may not be a quick answer. We'll see. Number 4, favorite Irish musician or band?
Gaelic Storm.
That's what I thought.
There it is.
Okay. I wrote down a short list of ones, but I already know, I think, my top choice. And on my short list, the High Kings was on there, because we listened to their stuff a lot.
Okay.
Gaelic Storm, love Gaelic Storm as well. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with Enya.
Okay, there you go.
Because my dad was a huge Enya fan, so Enya was on a lot. And actually, one of Enya's songs, we opted to do a instrumental song for our first dance together when we got married.
Oh, wonderful.
And it was an Enya song. So, and if I have trouble sleeping at night, I will put Enya on our Alexa device and just have it playing, and I go right to sleep. So
there it is.
Not to say that Enya's boring, but soothing.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
There you go. All right, favorite painter or artist, and does not have to be Irish.
Favorite painter or artist?
And even though I just went to the comic book show, I shied away from comic book artists for my answer.
Okay, all right. I mean, I know it's going to be stock. I was trying to think of a joke of like, oh, it's got to be one of the Ninja Turtles, but no. I'll tell you, probably Michelangelo, or Michelangelo, if you're going to say it, But I would say him, and I think it's just because he did the Pieta, which is in the. It's not St. Mark's, St. Paul's. Is that the Vatican, the cathedral in the Vatican? Yeah. And I think that was
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's. Yeah. That's right, not St. Paul's. St. Peter's.
St. Paul's is London.
Okay. Yeah. St. Peter's and the sculpture of the Pieta was pretty amazing, and so I mean that's kind of one of the times that art has kind of really moved me. So I would say him, just because of that. I also really tend to like a lot of impressionistic art, which is a completely different thing. And then I'm just going to wrap up my comments that say I am woefully ignorant when it comes to the world of art, and it's something that I hope to remedy in the near future. So if you were going to ask me this question again in a month or a year, hopefully I'd be more educated. But
yeah,
there's my answer nonetheless. What about you?
I can do a pretty quick one. Actually, when we were going through our collection of books here in our library, we had to kind of weed out some stuff, and I had a book in particular that I think it was from the Tate Gallery in London when we used to live over there. They had a special exhibit of William Blake's paintings, and I always really liked his stuff. Now it's very grotesque. It's like something you'd expect to see in like an illustrated copy of Dante's Inferno. I always liked his stuff. He's not the painter that I ended up choosing because my answer shoots to the top of my head right away, and that is Edward Hopper.
Okay.
Now, are you familiar with Hopper?
I am not, other than the guy on Stranger Things, but...
Well, yeah, a little different, but... yeah, so have you ever seen the painting Nighthawks?
No, should I... Let me look it up right now.
It's very famous. It's actually in the Art Institute of Chicago. It's in their collection. And it is the famous painting of a bunch of people sitting at a diner late at night.
Okay. And it's called
Nighthawks. Yeah.
By Blake?
By Edward Hopper.
Hopper.
Yeah, if you find Nighthawks by William Blake, let me know, because I'd be curious to see what that looks like.
Got it. Okay.
There's gonna be like winged demons drinking coffee and all kinds of stuff.
All right, Nighthawks. Okay. All right.
So I don't know if you've seen that painting before. That's probably his most famous painting. But he's my favorite by far. He's my favorite. One of the things I really like about his paintings is they are just these, like there's always some kind of a story to them. Like sometimes when I look at a particular painting, you get that there's a story, and it's either something very, very grand, or it's always some, with the more traditional, with the older paintings, it's always some grand topic. It's either something religious or something related to war or a landscape or something like that. His are just very like slice of life kind of moments.
Okay.
And his other one, like the other one of his that I think is probably my favorite, maybe even more so than Nighthawks, is called is it called a movie theater? New York Movie is what it's called. And all it is it's, you see kind of the left-hand side of the painting is, you can't even see the movie theater screen, but you see like a portion of the movie theater screen. You see some people sitting in seats in a movie theater in like a 1930s style, really ornately decorated movie theater. And then the right-hand portion of the painting is this woman who's leaning up against a wall on the side of the theater, just right outside the door. And she's standing there by herself, and she looks either worried or concerned or something. And it's just, you look at that and you're just like, there's a story here. And I don't know what the story is, but it's really interesting. And he's taking these little tiny moments in life or in somebody's life and just bringing them to life through the painting.
And this is called New York
This one's
Movie?
called New York Movie. It's a 1939 painting called New York Movie. That may be one of my favorites. That was actually the desktop background on my computer for several years.
Cool.
But I used to use a lot of his paintings when I was teaching language arts with 7th and 8th graders. If we were ever doing something where I wanted them to start writing some type of a story and I wanted to give them a prompt to start off with, sometimes I would give them a bunch of different examples of his paintings, and I'd say, take one of these and have this be the beginning of your story. And take this and run with the story from here. Like, what is this woman in this painting? What is she worried about? Did someone leave her? Was she supposed to meet someone here to watch the movie with and they never showed up? Or, what's going on here? Why is she not watching the movie with everyone else? Why is she concerned? And so I really like that about his paintings. So that one would be my favorite, Edward Hopper.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think that does it for our 5 questions, and that's going to do it for My Left Foot. So we're going to be back here next week for UHF. So slightly different movie than My Left Foot.
Yes.
A bit opposite, but that's okay.
A bit.
That's what we're all about. Just a bit. So yes, if you want to find more about us, you can go to 30podcast.com or at 30podcast on Twitter. Call the voicemail line if you want to, 872-356-6843. You can just leave a voicemail there. Let us know either one of the movies we've talked about or one we've got coming up. We'll play it on the show and respond to it. Our next episodes, like I said, are UHF and then Dead Poets Society, Driving Miss Daisy. And sometime we're going to drop in an episode for the movie Shazam. So that might be another one that I just do with the kids. If nobody else has had a chance to see it, we've already got our tickets to see it next weekend when it comes out. So we're looking forward to that. Everything I'm hearing is that it's a mixture of a superhero movie and Tom Hanks is big.
Oh.
So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So we got our tickets. We're ready to go. We're going to go see it next Saturday. So looking forward to that. But yeah, I think that's going to do it. Very, very quickly though, Pat, if we were to give My Left Foot, if you were to give it a rating, so that I can add this to our Letterboxd page of how we would rate this movie. If you're going to give this movie a rating out of 5, what would you give this one?
I'd give it a 5.
You give it a 5 out of 5?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go a 4.5.
All right.
Yeah, and I don't know that I could even articulate why it wouldn't be a perfect 5 for me, but I just feel like maybe that's the English teacher in me, and I'm just like, perfect score. You gotta really earn it, and I do feel like this movie did earn it. Like, this is a great movie. So I don't know if I can fully articulate why I'm not giving it a full 5. I just feel like
you needed a motorcycle chase.
Well, not even that, but yeah, I don't even know. I'm still going to stick with my 4.5, but
yeah.
So we will see everybody back here next time. So thank you for being here, Pat.
Thank you, John.
And we'll be back here. Now don't change that channel because we're going to be back really soon for UHF.
That's right.
All right. Be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies. We'll see you back here next time.